The rise of Vergil Ortiz has become one of boxing's most fascinating stories, not only because of his power and raw ambition, but because every step he takes positions him closer to the shadow of one man, Terence Crawford. Whenever Ortiz speaks about the future, one name inevitably sits at the top of his list. And yet, Crawford stands as the sport's most elusive mountain, the fighter who conquered division after division and now carries the rare kind of dominance that forces even his challengers to speak his name with caution. Still, the possibility lingers in the air. How close is Ortiz to finally sharing the ring with him? Even Crawford admits the young contender is right there, proving with every performance that he belongs among the elite, that he deserves to be mentioned with the top fighters in the world. It leaves the future wide open, 1 or 2 fights away from becoming a reality neither man can ignore. Crawford, now recognized as the face of boxing after toppling Canelo Alvarez, is in a unique position. His victory over the sport's biggest superstar placed him at the center of every conversation about greatness. He has earned the right to choose whatever path he wants, even if that path takes him far away from hungry contenders like Ortiz. When asked where he goes next, he simply hinted that he had one last fight at super middleweight and was planning to move on. What came after was anyone's guess, but the weight of his choices could reshape the sport. Ortiz heard those comments and didn't flinch. He said he is ready whenever and willing to fight anyone, whether it is Crawford, Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, or whoever else stands between him and the top. For Ortiz, boxing is simple. He wants the best because beating the best is how legends carve their names into history. Ortiz has never shied away from confidence, but he insists it isn't arrogance. To him, believing he could beat Crawford even at his absolute peak comes from years of studying the champion, years of building his power and refining his timing. He respects Crawford deeply, but he refuses to see him as unbeatable. That mindset alone has sparked heated debates across the boxing world. Some fans admire his ambition, while others mock the idea that a young contender with something to prove could overcome a pound-for-pound great who has dominated 3 divisions. Ortiz does not care about the noise. He continues to insist that Crawford's style, though brilliant, is not beyond him. He believes there are openings, patterns, and moments he can exploit if the day ever comes. When fans compared Ortiz's performance against Madrimov to Crawford's own dominant win, the champion offered a sharp but measured response. Crawford said Madrimov wasn't as sharp, wasn't as prepared, and wasn't the fighter he faced. He acknowledged that Ortiz fought well, pressured effectively, and earned the victory, but he made it clear that the comparison was flawed. In Crawford's view, Madrimov left the ring visibly damaged, while Ortiz himself carried signs of a tough night. The message was subtle but unmistakable. Crawford still saw himself as a step above, a master of the sport who could adapt and dismantle opponents with a level of precision few fighters could match. Now, as Crawford prepares to fight Carlos Adams at 160 pounds, the boxing world watches with curiosity. Crawford plans to stay in the middleweight division for 1 or 2 fights with the goal of becoming a 3-division undisputed champion. If he succeeds, history will be rewritten. Crawford would become a 6-division world champion and a 4-division undisputed champion, achievements so monumental that many analysts believe they would cement him among the top 5 greatest fighters in boxing history. His dominance over Errol Spence and his masterclass against Canelo Alvarez already elevated him into a realm that only a handful of fighters ever reach. The question now is whether he will ever return to 154 to face contenders like Ortiz or Jaron "Boots" Ennis. For his part, Ortiz clarified a long-standing rumor about allegedly turning down 2 offers to fight Crawford. He shut the story down immediately, insisting he never received a true offer and would never have declined such an opportunity. He explained that fighters who ask for big fights and then run from them are not his kind of fighters. Ortiz believes in stepping into the fire, even when the danger is real. His father, he said, was always honest with him. Some days he would tell Ortiz he could beat Crawford, and on other days he would say the opposite. That honesty shaped Ortiz into the fighter he is today, a man who respects greatness but refuses to fear it. At the same time, another contender has entered the picture, Jaron Ennis. After Ortiz's victory, Ennis stepped into the ring, presenting himself boldly and publicly as the next challenge. Their moment together created an immediate buzz. Fans could feel the tension, the energy, the possibility of a showdown that could define the super welterweight division. Ennis praised Crawford's accomplishments but made it clear he is ready when the champion is, calling a future matchup a historic American fight worthy of venues like T-Mobile Arena, MGM Grand, or Madison Square Garden. For Ennis, the Mecca of boxing would be the ideal stage, and he believes both his fanbase and Ortiz's would pack the arena. Negotiations for an Ortiz versus Ennis fight, however, have been complicated. Promoter Eddie Hearn has openly criticized both sides for unrealistic demands. Each camp believes their fighter deserves the larger share, and business politics have slowed progress on a matchup that fans desperately want to see. Hearn admitted that at this point, it might be easier to make Crawford versus Ortiz than to finalize Ortiz versus Ennis. The drama only intensified when Tim Bradley weighed in, suggesting that Ennis might be hesitant to face Ortiz because of the risk. Bradley's comments were poured directly onto the fire, fueling debates among fans about who truly wants the fight and who is waiting for a safer or more profitable moment. Through it all, Ortiz continues to say the same thing. He believes Crawford will not return to 154 because the champion has already adjusted his body to higher weight classes. He respects that, but he will not wait endlessly. He will push forward with the biggest fights available, confident that someday the timing may align and the fight he wants most will finally materialize. And now, with Ortiz rising, Ennis circling, and Crawford moving toward new history, the boxing world waits for its next seismic shift. Every decision these men make will shape the future of the divisions. Every victory or misstep will determine who stands at the top. Each of them knows the stakes, and none of them can afford to blink. If you enjoyed this deep dive into boxing's rising rivalries, let me know your thoughts below. Who do you believe truly deserves the next big fight? Should Crawford return to face the young contenders, or should Ortiz and Ennis settle their own rivalry first? Comment your predictions, hit the like button to support the channel, and subscribe for more dramatic breakdowns of the biggest stories in combat sports.